everybody, it's Aaron here with Robert or there. I'm in space right now, so we're doing this via Zoom. I had to go find Vision. I had to go find Wanda. I wanted to talk to Sword, so I got stuck here in space. So this happened. Back in a couple
weeks. Even though they're like in a town in New Jersey. I don't know why you went to space,
but I thought Sword was in space. So
well, that's the interesting thing that I don't know if we touched on in our spoiler reviews. Make sure you go to YouTube and check those out. Is that those? I think sword means something different in this universe because it's like sentient weapon observation, not sentient world observation. So even though it is still probably going to include space stuff, it's not exclusively space stuff because obviously Vision and Wanda are sentient weapons. So there you go. But anyways, that's Aaron. I'm Robert. This is Talkin Geek. This is not our WandaVision review.
No, but I'm still in space. I'll be back in a couple weeks. I was out. So I just want to throw out there, All or Nothing has come out on DVD. It was a movie I was in with John Geddes Productions. So go check that out. I was at the premiere, so I'm kind of self-quarantining now. I don't want to be anywhere near Robert and his future baby. Don't want to worry about them. So for the next couple weeks, you'll hear a little off with the audio and everything maybe. But once everything's back to normal, maybe we'll do a few more. Robert may take a hiatus for a little while for the baby, so maybe we'll have some guests come around too at that point. But moving forward, guys, this is the news. We talk about anything and everything geeky like. So if you enjoy news kind of topics, catch you up on what happened this week, let us know. And if you miss anything, of course, let us know. But we'll just kind of get right into it because a lot of interesting news happened. And of course, being the gamer, I follow anything game related, comic book related.
Yep.
So Xbox a few days ago announced they were doubling their price for their membership. So what that means is for anyone that's not a gamer like Robert, is that you pay a yearly subscription or a monthly subscription. And why is my camera going out of focus all of a sudden? I don't know. So hold on. There you go. Okay, there we go. So now that I'm back in focus. So anyone who doesn't know, you pay a yearly subscription or a monthly subscription, about $60 a year or $14.99 I believe $14.99 a month, and you can have access to Xbox Live Gold, which usually includes the Ultimate Edition, getting you like all the video games for like the free, like they call the Xbox Game Pass, which gets you the free games and all that. They were actually going to double the cost of Gold membership from $60 a year to $120 every year, so essentially $60 every 6 months. They were doubling that, and it drove everybody crazy. People started bashing Microsoft. People were wanting to jump ship from it. They're like, we're done with you. This is too much. And it exploded so bad. That article came out on, believe the 20, I was out of town. Today's the 23rd, I think. So, or something like that, Sunday, Monday, whatever. So it happened like Friday of last week. By that Saturday, they already said, wait, we didn't mean to say that. We're sorry. Rewind, like Wanda Vision. Wanda, rewind space and time. Yeah. We're not going to do that. And they have now X'd that out. They are no longer going to double the price of Xbox Live Gold. And so the $60 a month will be fine. And they also even said that games that are normally free to play, so that means stuff like Fortnite. Fortnite's a free game. I can go download it to my Xbox and play it. Right now, I do need to have Xbox Live Gold to access the live service so I could play. Other companies don't do that. Like if I have a PC, I don't need to pay anything. Same for Switch and PlayStation. Microsoft is now saying, oh, you know what? We're going to make these games that are supposed to be free to play. Like you don't need Xbox Live Gold. You don't need to have that. You could just play with your friends.
We're doing a little, damage control over here.
Exactly.
No, so we're just that was just a joke. April Fools, even though it's January.
Sony hacked us, and they posted that. We never said that.
Yeah,
it wasn't us. It was Sony and Nintendo against us. So
it was fake news.
Yeah, fake news. It was all fake news. I don't know. I think it was weird that like all of a sudden during all of this, they're like, hey, we're gonna double. Not even like a small jump. Like small jumps, I'm okay with. Back when the Xbox Live first started, it was $49.99 a month for a year, and now again it's at $59.99 a month or $59.99 a year. I'm sorry. So it went from $49.99 a year to $59.99 a year, which is fine. $10 more over the course of Xbox Live's lifetime, which isn't a terrible increase. $10 and you were getting more, it was giving you more. So it's okay, I think, for that. But to go for double the price was like, oh gosh. Even for that one day that I read the article, I was like, do I want to stay with Xbox, or am I going to finally just move over to my PC and just be a PC gamer officially? I'm not going to PlayStation. No, not going to PlayStation. No. You only got me if you have a Spider-Man game, and I'll only buy it when that comes out.
I mean, they do.
They did, and I bought the PlayStation 4 for it, and then that's all I play is that and God of War. So, I don't know. I know you're not the big gamer, but like, do you think that was just a risky play that just didn't play out at all?
Yeah, I mean, I remember. So, I used to play games a little bit, still not a ton. But when I first moved to Texas, I mean, I'm a lot of my family members and my cousins and stuff, still live across the country, and so it was like, we had a few games where it was like, oh, we could play together. Like my cousin and I, we always like to play hockey, the NHL game together, and so then it was like, well, let's play it online. And I'm pretty sure like PlayStation lets you play for free.
Yes, up through the PlayStation 3. 4 is when they started charging.
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't remember. I mean, this was like back in 2011, 12. So maybe, I think it was still the PS3 at that point. And so it was like, and I remember, my roommate, when I moved down here, had an Xbox. And so it was like, and my cousin had both. And so I was like, oh, I'll get the game on Xbox and we can still play each other. And then it was like, oh, no, you have to have a subscription to play. And I was like, what BS is that? Like, I was like, PlayStation, you can do this like all the time. And so, I remember being like super frustrated even back then by the fact that Microsoft made you pay to play online gaming. Now, PlayStation has since done that as well. So it's not really anything. Now everybody kind of does that, where if you want to play, live games against or with people, most of the time you have to have some sort of subscription.
Exactly.
But, I mean, I think that it was really telling that, I mean, usually before they announce any sort of price increase or anything like that, like there's usually a ton of effort that goes into that in terms of the rollout plan, like what that price increase is, why they've made that choice. And it's almost always where they go, yes, we're going to lose some customers, but it's going to be offset by the amount of money that we're going to make. And ultimately we think it's going to, it's going to be more profitable for us. Like, they're not going to make a decision that they think is going to decrease profits. So clearly they did all that research, and then the backlash was way more than they expected.
Oh,
and
my
they were
gosh,
like, we were just kidding. So now
who showed that? No.
This feels like it sets them back, because if they had announced, maybe a 10% increase or 25% increase or something like that, that's a little bit more palatable. It's already like just not a great time to do something like that, where we're still in the middle of the pandemic, where we still have people more than ever, like struggling financially and things like that. It's already not a great time to announce a price hike, but then to literally be like, it's 100% increase. Somebody at Microsoft got fired for like pushing this through.
Fire somebody. I need him fired. Who? I don't know.
Yeah, some middle manager who, like was pushing this and is like, this is my idea and we're going to do this. And it's just like the next day, it's like, sorry, Gerald. But
Gerald from Sony. We knew it was
pack your things and stay home, since you're already working from home.
Can you pack your stuff and mail it to us? Because that's our computer.
Yeah, right.
Just mail that to us.
So
Gerald from Sony, please don't do this again. That's probably what his last name is, Sony.
But it does feel like it sets them back, because they're gonna have now they're gonna have a time period where they're not really going to be allowed to increase the price at all without some kind of backlash.
Yeah, they're gonna wait about a year or two before they even think about mentioning anything. And it's like you said, it's gonna be a small one. They're not gonna do. I bet you they're not going to do more than like 10 to 20%. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a while before they do that. But
Daisy.
Interesting gaming news. Hitman 3 also came out last week after our last recording. I should have a review of that one later. So go check that out. I'll have a link somewhere once it's ready.
You will have a review.
I will.
I will not.
You would just be like, cool, that's a cool game, Aaron. Glad you reviewed that. So moving on though to our next news, and I'm excited a little bit for this one, kind of maybe.
What is it, Aaron?
Godzilla versus King Kong trailer drop.
Yeah.
What, Saturday, right? I think it was
Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Sunday. I don't know why my camera keeps on focusing. Sorry, guys. So, I what did you think first? You're more of a movie buff, and I don't know if you follow Godzilla and all that stuff.
So yes, I am the movie guy. Godzilla and King Kong have, like, monster movies aren't really my thing. That's never been something I've really watched much of. So like I know that Godzilla has already had, like, I think 2 movies that have come out in the last like 6 or 7 years that this is kind of building off of. Like there was one back in like 2015, I think, and then Godzilla King of Monsters, I think, came out in either 2018 or 2019. I don't remember. And then there was Kong Skull Island that came out in between those two. And so this is kind of, they were building towards this even from that first Godzilla movie. I have not seen either of the 2 Godzilla movies. I did catch Kong Skull Island just like on, I think, Netflix or something like that a couple years ago. And I thought it was okay. Like, I didn't think it was great or anything like that.
Yeah.
And again, this isn't really my type of movie. This trailer did nothing for me. Like, literally, I was watching it and I was like, this looks stupid. It looks dumb. I don't understand, like, why anyone wants to watch this. I get it. A lot of people do. A lot of people, it's like, I want to go to the big screen and watch a giant lizard punch a giant monkey and eat some popcorn while I'm doing it. But for me, this is not my type of movie. I don't care. And everything I'm watching where it's like, you know, King Kong has some connection with a little kid, I'm like, great. Godzilla's being, you know, like, destroying things, and I'm like, cool. I don't care. And so that's like, I don't think I'll see this movie. Like, it's just not one that I really care about. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's got some interesting actors in it, like Rebecca Black, who was in Iron Man 3. She's been in a few other things. She was like in The Prestige and some other major stuff. Like, I like her as an actress. And there's a couple other people that I saw flip in, but I was like, and it was like, oh, I remember that person. But yeah, this isn't my type of movie, and that's okay. Like, obviously there are people that love this type of stuff. It's just not me. So what about you?
So I like Godzilla. I've watched some of the old Godzilla stuff back in the day, and then I watched that, what was, like, 1997 or something. Godzilla.
Let's not talk about that one.
Yeah, no one ever talks about that one.
That's really the Matthew Broderick one. That was terrible.
So dumb. You know, when you watch it as a kid and don't know anything, it's good. And then we watch it later as, like, I was a teenager and adult and watched some of the old Godzillas. I'm like, this isn't my Godzilla.
Well, it was literally like, that movie came out a few years after Jurassic Park, and it was clear that somebody was like, let's make Jurassic Park, but we'll put Godzilla in it.
Exactly. So I watched that, and I think there was Godzilla 2000, I think I've seen that one where it kind of goes back to the old school Godzilla stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
I remember watching, didn't Peter Jackson, I think, redid King Kong when you have what's his name in it?
Andy Serkis and Jack Black.
Jack Black, yeah. And that one I thought was a good retelling of the old black and white King Kong, Love Killed the Beast, all that stuff.
Yeah, it was an hour too long, but
my God, way too long of a movie. I will give you that. But it was still good. I still enjoyed it. I never saw Skull Island, which I know Samuel Jackson did, so I need to watch it for him. But yeah, I'm not huge into monster flicks. You know, I'm more of a horror guy when I do watch stuff for action stuff more than anything. So I'm okay. So I watched the trailer.
Movie, Aaron.
Huh?
This is an action movie.
It's not like, okay, like James Bond or like Bourne or anything like that. This is
all right.
This is a monster flick. It's not an action flick. It's a monster flick.
Did you see Godzilla, you know, throwing atomic breath at King Kong, and King Kong's using some sort of like sword to deflect it? I don't even know what's happening.
He called Voltron. And he's like, hey, Voltron, can I borrow that sword for a minute? And they're like, yeah, sure, here you go. And they handed him the sword. So it's actually Voltron's sword in that, if you didn't know.
Cool.
So I'm sure someone's going to yell at me for that later. But no, I mean, the graphics look okay, too. Like, I'm watching on my nice monitor, and it still just looks okay. Like, The CGI looks okay. Like everything looks okay, but it's literally just one of those. It reminds me, and this is why I don't think I want to see it. Like I said, I like horror films. I wasn't big on these, but like Jason, Michael Myers, all that stuff from back in the day. And then it was like, we're going to do Freddy versus Jason. We're going to do Michael Myers and blah, blah, blah. And they did the one Freddy versus Jason movie, which was garbage. And it sucked. Yeah. And that's what I'm afraid they're doing here. They're like, oh, man, like who would win a fight? Godzilla or King Kong? Well, someone said, well, let's make that film and see who would win. Because I know there was rumors that they were going to bring all the monsters kind of like back one day. And they were going to start doing these monster flicks where they're all fighting each other. And I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need to know who's going to win, Godzilla or King Kong, and I don't need to see it. Just like I don't need to see Freddy versus Jason or Michael Myers versus, whoever.
Well, it also feels like this movie is like the Man of Steel, like where we're, and Batman v Superman, where it's like, you haven't established these movies, like even though I've only seen one of them, I know like, the two Godzilla movies were very mixed reviews from critics. The King Kong movie, I think most critics were like, nah, it's fine. Obviously, they made enough money. These are the type of movies that, like they're big blockbusters. A lot of people go watch them and go see them and, whatever. But it's just like, for me, none of this is interesting. And so maybe if I'd seen the Godzilla movies, I would care. But it feels like they've already had two Godzilla movies, and I'm pretty sure in both of them, by the end, he's kind of a hero. Like, he's fighting other monsters that are, so even though he's destroying stuff, like, he's on the side of humanity, if you will. And so now it's like, we've already had two movies where, like, somebody's painting him as a villain, but actually he's heroic. And now we're going to get another movie where once again, it's like, no, King Kong he's our hero and Godzilla's, like destroying things. And it's like, haven't we already told this story? And then by the end of it, it's going to be the same thing as Batman v Superman. There's going to be a bigger monster and they're going to have to team up to fight that monster. And I don't care.
Do you think what's going to happen is Godzilla's going to get knocked out a little bit? And as he's laying there with Voltron's sword about to stab him, he's going to say, Martha. And King Kong's like, Martha, how did you know that name? And he's going to point at the little girl.
You know what? Actually, that's what they need to do. They need to flip it. And it needs to be King Kong. And he's like, save the little girl.
Well, how do you know a little girl?
Yeah.
There's like millions of kids, so...
Yeah, Godzilla's going to be like, which one? I just destroyed half of Europe. Which little girl do I need to save?
I mean, I literally blew up like 6 boats coming out just because I had an itch on my back and I was just trying to reach it, and I destroyed like 6 boats. And then I got to destroy Europe.
I coughed and my atomic breath came out.
That's all it was. It was just a cough. I was trying to protect myself. I told everybody not to wake me. I was quarantining myself from COVID, and now I told you is what happens when Godzilla gets COVID. I don't know. Like I said, I was never looking forward to the horror film fights. I'm not looking forward to monster fights. I mean, what are we going to get next? The stuff from Pacific Rim fighting Godzilla or something? Like, that's just the next step to me.
They've also had to really scale up King Kong because, I mean, if you look at the old things, like, especially the originals, like Godzilla is the size of the Empire State Building. King Kong is the size of like 10 stories of the Empire State Building. Like, and so they've really had to scale up King Kong to make this even like remotely a fair fight.
Right.
On top of which Godzilla has atomic breath. Like, how is King Kong going to survive this fight?
The Voltron sword, I just told you, he's borrowing Voltron's sword to deflect it. I mean, I don't.
Right. Well, he's going to use kryptonite bombs to slow down Godzilla.
No, he has a silicon like S on his chest too. He's gonna just fling it at him.
Okay, Superman 2.
I mean, I don't. Maybe he has a negative zone or something. I don't know. Like, I didn't even think about that. I forgot Kong is a lot smaller in comparison size to Godzilla. So
except in this trailer, like they look like they're the same size. Like Kong, like literally, like punches him in the face, and you're like, okay, he's just giant now. Like he's a totally like. There's something off with this scale. Maybe they've made Godzilla smaller. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows until we see. Well, no, because in the Tokyo shot or the I'm guessing it's Japan, maybe because of all the bright lights and technology. He's as tall as those buildings are. And some of those buildings, it's still tall. I don't know. So we'll see how that goes. But who knows? But staying on the movie part, there's been some delays again.
Yeah, I mean, we're still delaying. We were talking about this 10 months ago, and now we're still delaying. James Bond has been delayed again. It was supposed to come out in April. Now they pushed it back to October, which then caused Morbius to be like, well, we were going to come out in October, but yeet, see ya. Now it's going to be January for Morbius. Other things that, like, some of the Fox owned, or the Fox production that now Disney owns due to that purchase, they pushed a lot of that stuff back. So like the Kingsman has been pushed back, a couple other things. So they keep pushing things. So we're just seeing another round of delays as we, haven't made as much progress in getting out of this pandemic as I think, people wanted to, the studios wanted to. And, obviously their goal is to make money, and, releasing a movie to a theater that can only sell 20% of its tickets isn't going to make them money.
Exactly.
So they keep pushing all this back. And, some of the biggest things we haven't heard anymore about, like Black Widow is sitting there in May, and, they still haven't pushed off of that date yet. But I know that there's been some recent interviews because of WandaVision coming out with Kevin Feige, and he's basically said, like, we want to stay optimistic, but you never know. And so and there's been a lot of clamor for people that, drop that on Disney Plus, give it to us now, because that movie's ready. What
do you think on that? Like, as the movie guy, we saw what happened with Wonder Woman and dropping on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Do you, like, personally, I know we know you're not into all this money wise, but do you think it could be a wise move yourself? Because I don't see any profit in that. Like, Wonder Woman showed that there's no profit almost.
Well, and Disney Plus did that with something like Soul, and they did get a lot of new subscribers. But I think right now, like, if you're an MCU fan that would get a subscription for Black Widow, you already got it for WandaVision.
Yeah.
And so, to me, I don't think it's going to drive subscriptions, and it's also because of what the movie is, where it's an in-between-quel. Like, it, it's not the next story that they're telling. Like, there's no reason that they have to put it out because, some Disney Plus series is going to interfere with it or something, like, or, it's going to mess up our storytelling going forward. Like, it's not. So I don't think they will put it out on Disney Plus, and I'm of two minds of whether I want them to, because I'm a big theater guy. You know that. I love going to see movies in theater. And so I want to see Black Widow in the theater. I wanted to see Wonder Woman 84 in the theater. I think I would have enjoyed it more in the theater. I still don't think I would have loved it. Like, I still think it was an okay movie. But yeah, I think that as much as I want to see Black Widow, because I really do, I'm very much anticipating seeing that movie. I would rather wait and see it on the big screen, I think.
Yeah, and I kind of in that same mindset that I'd rather wait to see it in the big screen. And like you said, we know this isn't going to push any storyline. We know it's not going anywhere. And I think I agree with you. I think people who want to see it already have a Disney subscription, so there's nothing. It's not like Mulan, where like Mulan may bring in other subscribers. We've already have the subscribers you're going to get for this,
Yeah.
I don't know. And again, for me, like, I want to see Black Widow because, yes, I love the action behind it and all that. Plot protection. We know she can't die, though. I mean, that's where I land with all of that. Was there any movie that you're like, dang? I mean, I know you're not going to theaters and all that right now anyway, but was there any movie that you're like, dang, I hate that got pushed back, or you just kind of like, nah?
I mean, at this point, I'm just resigned to all of it, because I'm not going to see any of these in theaters if they were coming out right now. Like, I'm not upset that anything's getting moved back, because the more that they move it back, the more that means that I'll actually maybe have a chance to go see it in theater.
Exactly.
Like something like Tenet, when that came out, and it came out in theaters, and like Christopher Nolan is, along with Taika Waititi, those two directors are probably my top two directors of, like, if their name is on it, I want to see it. Yeah. And Christopher Nolan movies, especially, like, he's always got really interesting visuals and really interesting. And so it was like, I really want to see that movie, and I really want to see it in theaters. And they were like, it's in theaters. I'm like, I'm not going. And so I still haven't seen Tenet, and I'm never, I don't think, going to get an opportunity to see it on the big screen. And that's disappointing.
I got the DVD for you later.
Yeah, and I'll watch it, and I hope that I'll enjoy it. But it's just a different experience watching it at home on your screen than it is, watching it in a theater.
And I think Soul and Wonder Woman showed that too. Like you said, and something I think we've talked about in other videos. You can pause the film and take yourself out, and you can't do that in a movie theater, really. We like to sit there and watch it from start to end.
I still haven't watched Mulan. Even though, I did want to see that movie, the fact that it's just sitting there on Disney Plus, there's no urgency. There's no, I have to watch this now. It's just sitting there, and I can watch it whenever. And right now, there's been other things that I've been watching. I just did a rewatch of the HBO series Watchmen before I watched that.
That's sad. Watch that again.
I want to watch that again because, the first time around, I feel like I was really married to the comics and there were storylines and characters that I wasn't really connecting to. And I was like, I want to watch it again and see if I connect to them more. Spoiler alert, I still don't care for the Ozymandias storyline.
Just to let y'all know.
It's a really good show.
It is. It really is still. And I mean, I kind of in that same boat. Everything's getting delayed, but I'm not going to theaters. I bought Tenet on DVD because I'm I want to watch. I want to somehow support Nolan and the whole franchise. All the actors. I know you guys don't get much off this, but hey, I'm gonna spend the $15, $20 to get the DVD at least.
And by the way, what a great segue, because there was a story that broke, hasn't been confirmed by anyone yet, but that Christopher Nolan and Warner Brothers are ending their partnership that's been almost 20 years at this point.
He got mad.
He sure did. I mean, there was that announcement that we have already talked about maybe a month ago with Warner Brothers putting all of their 2021 movies on HBO Max. And it was just a really poor layout, I think, or rollout of how they announced it. And a lot of the creators didn't have content or input into that decision. And Christopher Nolan specifically called them out, yesterday. I think his quote was basically yesterday everybody went to sleep thinking they worked for the best studio, and today they woke up finding out they worked for the worst streaming service. And it was whoa, shots fired.
Yeah, he did not hold back. And
some studio out there is gonna start working with a really talented director, and it looks like it's not gonna be Warner Brothers. So
yeah, I think that was a big miss, especially when you have someone who's who brought Batman to life again. We have, what else? He did Memento, Batman, Inception.
Yeah.
Dunkirk.
Inception, Interstellar.
I mean, he has so many hit movies under his belt. The Prestige. I forgot about that one.
Yep.
I mean, this he's talented. You're right. He is one of the most talented directors out there of our time, I think, even.
Yep.
And you just let him go. So let's see, like you say, who picks him up, or maybe he'll just start saying, you know what? I'm going to make my own studio.
Yep.
Never know.
But speaking of HBO, there was another story as well about yet another Game of Thrones prequel series that's in development. It hasn't officially been greenlit at this point, but it is based on a book that George R.R. Martin wrote about the tales of Dunk and Egg. And so this is about two...
Dunking an egg? Like we're throwing it in a basketball hoop?
No, I think it's mainly about, I haven't read it, but it's about a couple of just kind of characters. One who's like a knight, and then the other one is Aegon Targaryen, who is Egg. That's his nickname because his name is Aegon. So this takes about 100 years before the events that we saw in Game of Thrones is when that timeline is. There is also the other one, which is about the Targaryens' rise to power. That one's already been greenlit and they're already working on it.
Right, I remember that.
And that one's I think about 300 years before the events of Game of Thrones. So they're trying to fill out this world. They're trying to return back to this cash cow. Obviously, Game of Thrones was hugely successful for basically the entirety of its run. A lot of people think that season 7 and 8 weren't as good. Especially, I think a lot of people weren't big fans of the ending. I myself was also not a big fan of some of those characters and their choices and the way that they were dealt with at the end. So I think the movie was, I think that the ending really soured the show in a lot of people's memories, but we have to remember there were like 5 to 6 really, really solid, excellent seasons of TV that came out of this universe. So another show, I'm on board for it. I'll watch it. Hopefully it comes out. It's in very early development, so it hasn't been officially, like, they're definitely coming out with this. They already had a couple of other shows that they kind of like, hey, we're in early development on this, and then it didn't end up happening. So we'll see if this one comes out.
I mean, I'll be excited to see how it plays out. I mean, it will be interesting to see where they could go with it. Like you said, now we're going further in the past to set up everybody's storyline for the future ones. So I kind of hope that, because it's so old, you're going to get characters that don't have plot protection. They can die at any time still. And that's what I never like about prequels, is because, they lead into the next, the next show or next movie or whatever. So they have plot protection if they're still alive. But going back 300 years, they're all humans. They have to be dead by then. So
and that's where, like, there have been talk about maybe doing Robert's Rebellion, which would be, maybe 15 years before the events of Game of Thrones. And it's like, okay, so we'd have Robert Baratheon, who we know he wouldn't die. Jaime Lannister, who we know wouldn't die. Ned Stark, who we know wouldn't die. Sir Barristan Selmy, who we know wouldn't die. Like, all these major players. And it's like, why do we actually need that show?
No,
like,
you don't.
part of the appeal of Game of Thrones is, and obviously people had read the books, and so there was, people that knew what was coming, but part of it was like the appeal of not knowing who was going to, survive any given week, and like what, those types of things that were going to happen, where it's just like, very shocking, because it does feel like anyone could die at any point. I mean, having Ned Stark, spoiler alert, die at the end of season 1, which, like, a lot of people were like, what? Like, he's the main character of the series. And then it's just like, not anymore. He's not.
He was the main character for all of 10 episodes.
Yeah. Well, 9 episodes, I think, because they killed him at the end of episode 9.
Oh, okay. So 9 episodes.
But yeah, I mean, that's part of the appeal of Game of Thrones and fantasy type series, is you never really know what's going to happen next. So yeah, with Duncan Egg, again, it is based on source material. There are books out about this, these stories. So that's always one of those things. It's like, are you going to tell that story, or are you going to try and tell something different? We don't really know.
Exactly.
HBO makes good shows a lot of the time, so I'm looking forward to it. We'll see.
Same. I mean, I'll be excited to see what they do with it. I really will, because I'm very, very curious how it's going to play out. I really, really am. So. And
I would say the last story is one that we don't have a lot of details on, and I mean, we don't even, it hasn't even been confirmed officially yet, but this is that Matt Damon is apparently going to be in Thor: Love and Thunder. Matt Damon. And he
was it Sever Silverman in that whole skit with him?
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, I'm not gonna say it out here because
I was just thinking of his South Park, or no, what was it? Not South Park. The Team America World Police, Matt Damon.
Oh God, I forgot about that one.
But anyways, he was in the last Thor movie, in Thor Ragnarok. He had his little cameo as fake Loki, masquerading as Odin, was putting on a production of basically Thor: The Dark World, and Matt Damon was playing the Loki, on Asgard. So he's an Asgardian actor, basically, and he's playing Loki in that scene. It's the only time we see him, and it's a cameo appearance. Now, Thor: Love and Thunder, directed by Taika Waititi, who did Thor Ragnarok. So it seems like he's bringing him back. Is he gonna keep playing the same character, or is it gonna be some kind of joke and he's gonna have another cameo appearance? The fact that he is, he's gone to Australia, which is where they're filming, which means he's having to quarantine and do all this stuff. Like, it seems like it's for a more substantial role than just like a quick appearance. Because if you're doing all that effort to get someone in a movie, you wouldn't think it's just for a quick cameo. Like, a couple years ago, when we weren't in a pandemic, you could have, a Brad Pitt cameo in Deadpool 2 by, having him there for 10 seconds,
if that, like 5 frames.
And so it's like one of those things where it's like, you can call him up, a day before and be like, oh, we just had this great idea. Do you want to be this guy? And Brad Pitt can show up and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore. Like
Exactly.
all of the effort that comes into being in this movie, having to quarantine, fly to Australia, do all this stuff, like it feels like it's for something more substantial. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if he's playing, the same character or if he's playing a new character.
I hope he's playing somebody new. Like I like you said, I want him to have a substantial role in this somehow. And I feel like if we do the same character, I mean, again, it was a really throwaway Asgardian. They never give him a name, I don't think even. And quick recollection, I don't know of any like actor Asgardian that he could be that would say, oh yeah, he's this guy. But I would like to see him as one of the other Asgardians who helped Thor out. I mean, we have a lot of Thor has a lot of history, has a lot of comics that I just didn't read all of them. I mean, but I would be very, very curious where could they put him and how could they fit him into the universe? Yeah, heck, maybe even make him a villain. He might actually be a villain. Someone who worked for Loki.
Alongside Christian Bale. Well, I don't think Loki is going to be in this one because remember, Loki is dead in this timeline.
That's true.
Even though he's getting his own show on Disney Plus.
Dead, but not dead. Who knows? Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
Pretty much,
yeah. It'll be interesting. I'll be interested to see what he goes with.
Matt Damon.
I gotta say the whole thing with him and Sarah Silverman. It's a funny thing.
Interesting.
So, but that's pretty much all the news we had today, I believe.
Yeah.
No more news. So definitely, guys, let us know below if we missed anything and what you think we should talk about. If we did, we do try to make sure we catch all the major news topics that came out every week. So stay tuned for more. And as always, make sure you like our Facebook page, Official GYGO. Subscribe to YouTube.com/Official GYGO, so you can catch up on all of this. If you just want to hear the podcast, just make sure you're still listening to your favorite podcast platform, as we're on Spotify. I'm not going to go into all of it. There's too many of them. I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to look. I have my computer up, and I'm just like, there's too many of them. But, make sure for Robert and myself, stay geeky, get your geek on, and have a great day, guys.
Bye.